We are officially halfway done with the second round of March Madness, and tonight's slate delivered, to say the least. Like, it wasn't the best start in the world to today, but tonight was incredible. Arkansas just started filming after Darius Acuff hit the dagger to put the Hogs up, whatever it was, 7. It's ending up now. And then Vandy and Nebraska, arguably the game of the tournament. It was incredible. Going to talk through all these games, talk through the recap and stuff, and talk about my takeaways from these games. But I just did some check marks, some X's, and we are moving on to some of these teams to the Sweet 16. Big day tomorrow, full of games to get some more tickets punched to the Sweet 16. But I'll go back and I'll talk about this in chronological order because I took notes in chronological order. Usually I go and I just think back on what happened in that day. And if there's anything noteworthy that comes out online, then I'll jot that down or whatever. But I'm going through chronological order. So we'll start out with Michigan and St. Louis, which started the day. This was a game for a while. Credit to St. Louis. They battled for a long time, fought, and then there was just a little bit late in this game that the talent shows through. It ended up being like a dunk fest late. There were some fun dunks. The Kellen Thames dunk was absolutely incredible. But Michigan pulled away late. That was kind of the story. Yaxel took over. Merez Johnson and Dimara, like all these dudes ended up just kind of showing their best version of themselves late and made this one kind of easy and winning 95-72 in this one. The 15th 20-plus point win of the year, which is a program record for the Wolverines. They've dominated at times. They talked about it on the broadcast where they were talking about while they were at the Players era, they did all these different things, and that's exactly what the shades of them showed late in the second half to where they pulled away and made this look like it was no contest. That's what it looked like. And I jotted down, when Michigan and Elliott Cadeau, which I haven't mentioned yet, when they play like this, they are completely unbeatable. I don't care if you want to take the field. If you give me this version of Michigan, they're not losing a game, and it's not even close. Like when they play how they did at times of this second half, it's not close. Elliott Cadeau, 12 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 turnovers. He was spectacular. I thought he did some good things on the defensive end, 3 for 5 from 3. He did a great job kind of just running the show, which is all he's asked to do when you have that much talent around him. He was awesome. Trey McKinney had a good game off the bench, 2 threes for him, 8 and 5 for the young man, the freshman. So Michigan, good win for them, and making this something that they don't have to like sweat. Like this was obviously a great St. Louis team. A lot of these guys are really, really good players that have pro futures. And it was just a great one to be able to kind of breeze by. Robbie Avila, thank you for an amazing career. Came up 10 points short of 2,000 for his career, I think is what they said. Ended with 9 and 5 assists. But all the nicknames, all the good stuff. You got Milt Chamberlain, Rob Wave, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Steph Blurry, Larry Nerd. There's a ton of them. They are endless and they are just amazing. And but it's not just the nicknames. He's one heck of a ball player. And he obviously doesn't look it. I talked to my grandpa tonight, and he's the one that brought it up out of nowhere. He said, that kid on St. Louis doesn't look like the greatest basketball player of all time, but when he gets out there on the floor, he can actually run things. Like, if you look at all these other games, obviously this is quite the task to be like challenged with this front court from the Wolverines this year. But it wasn't his best game. Still went out there and fought. Still did some good things throughout. So he was a ton of fun to enjoy at Indiana State and then now St. Louis. And the Billikens, I mean, you can't hang your head off of this one loss. You made funny business out of Georgia, beating them by like 400. So getting to this point and kind of going away in a blowout, don't hang your head on it. This situation and this spot was a cool ride, a ton of fun to follow. And I mean, you had the late season struggles. All that gets washed away because you have a tournament win. That's what I think. You can get an NCAA tournament win where you're an at-large and you get a tournament win. That's good stuff. But I said Yaxel took over, 25 points for him. One of the nastiest dunks I've seen in a long time. With the Euro, it was a dunk fest there towards the end. There was his, and then there was Adamara's lob to Merez, and then right on the other end was Kellen Thames' dunk on Adamara. it was just awesome. It was absolutely beautiful to see all of that all there at the same time. It was a ton of fun. But Michigan gets out with a, dominant win, I think you could definitely say. Michigan State and Louisville. Michigan State 77, Louisville 69. And honestly, this game was getting close to blowout material late. I think the most they led by was 13, but it was getting pushed that way. And it felt like, to me, the physicality kind of showed through towards the end. Cohen Carr. When I wrote my notes down, I just said Cohen Carr, period. That's, yeah. Obviously, he's known as the high flyer. 2 for 4 from 3 today. Hits one early, hits another one in that second half. 21 and 10 for him. 2 blocks. And he's just one of those dudes that it's so fun. Like, obviously, he's one of the best in-game dunkers I've ever seen in my life. He's one of those guys, though, like, the dunks mean a whole lot more than just 2 points. They completely shift vibes. They shift arenas. Out there in Buffalo, New York, he was awesome in this one. So, Louisville's front court is like the story of the season. And now you're in year 2 of PK, and obviously the fans are a little. I mean, you'd get a different response every fan you talk to. I think out of what my read of the fan base is, out of the people that I know, which isn't the entire fan base, they're a little bit like, all right, you've got to actually prove something in year 3. Like you haven't done a ton that's noteworthy. Like, you won a tournament game, awesome. First tournament win since 2017. But now what? Like, you can't get... They didn't get exposed in this one, ran off the court, none of that. But they had no front court all year, and that was the story. And yes, you put all your eggs in one basket with Michael Brown, and, well, not even necessarily. I mean, you gave some eggs to Ryan Conwell and Woolley and McNeely and all these guys. But you had no front court all year. Like, Zugris ended up being a fine player. Sananda Frew certainly improved. Ali Khalifa, I mean, he could score and pass, but there was like such a drop off on the defensive end that it was kind of like you can't play him. So next year when you go into this, like, I'm assuming you can keep Woolley. Ryan Conwell's gone, Michael's gone, and all these different guys. I think McNeely's gone. But you have Adrian Woolley. Build around that. Put shooters around them. Get elite bigs, because that's what held you back all year. And I know in the ACC it's not the most like physically demanding conference. It's not the Big Ten or anything. But you've got to have a front court. Like, if you want to be able to make runs and stuff, you've got to have a front court. So maybe instead of next year going to get like 4 insane guards, they don't have a incoming freshman group. So, like, build around Woolley. Go get a couple shooters. Go get another wing or something maybe. And then go get like 2 legit bigs. Like Arkansas did it late in the portal. They went and got Malik Ewan, Nick Pringle. Now Nick Pringle's out right now, but that doesn't matter. That duo right there, if they're playing for Louisville, this is a completely different team. And obviously Michael, that whole situation just stinks. It was a tough situation. Ryan Conwell, hats off to you. As a Kentucky fan, it was tough to watch you wear Louisville across your chest, but I respect the man you are. I've loved watching you play for a while. I think I first saw you, I would say, a couple years ago at Indiana State. I don't know what game it was, but it was at Indiana State that I had first seen you, and I was like, this guy is awesome. This guy right here is awesome. Averaging 16.6 there. And then he goes to Xavier, which, I'm from Kentucky, not super far away. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. Still enjoying him. Like, he's playing with a guy that I played against in high school as his point guard, and he's going out there and doing his thing at Xavier. Ton of fun. Then he hits the portal, and I'm like, all right, Cats, you got to go after him. I know you guys, like, at Kentucky, you don't ever go after, like, the low major guys. Like, they're not going to go after Indiana State transfers unless they're, like, just absolutely ridiculous. But then there's this situation where now he's coming from Xavier, and you're like, all right, let's go get this guy. They don't go after him. Wolf goes after him. He commits from Indy. Ended up having a dang good year there. And I got called crazy for saying he'd be Louisville's best player. I don't know how you Louisville fans feel, but I feel like I'm correct on that. 18.7 points per game, 4.8 rebounds per game, 2.6 assists per game. And the splits were good as well. I mean, he had a ton of shot taking. Like, he was getting up 9.5 threes a game, 34% from 3, 84% from the line, 41% from the field. He was incredible. And he'd have some runs where you'd be like, man, this guy, he's something special. But Great career out of him. Even better guy. All the stuff. And obviously, if this team has Michael in this run, things probably go a little bit different. But Michigan State, you move on, and now you're dancing in the Sweet 16, and you will be facing off with the winner of the Jerk Bowl. Like, actually, that sounds bad. The really mean guy bowl. Mick Cronin, Dan Hurley tomorrow. UCLA and UConn will be battling it off, and I have UCLA. Just putting out there before. Don't know if that's going to happen, but it was my pick. I picked it on Sunday, so I'm going with it. Michigan State. You keep moving on. Jeremy Fears today, most assists in a single tournament game in school history, not college. But he ended up with 16 assists today. Awesome game. And he just continues to impress. When he would leave the floor, bad things happen. Comes back on, they're fine. So, fun game. End up winning by 8. You'll take it. Duke and TCU. This was a heck of a ball game for a while. And then, similar to the game before, where, what was the second half total for Siena? The second half total for Siena, I don't know where to even find the total at. I'm struggling. But nonetheless, Siena had 22 second half points. And then in this one, what was it, 24, I believe? It was incredible. It was just a complete lockdown on that side of things, and they just dominated in that. Yeah, 24 second half points for TCU. Yes, you can argue ref show, but that was not the case on why TCU got in the situation that they were in that first half. Then the refs start blowing the whistle a little bit. There's all these calls that you could argue in that second half, and Duke ends up pulling away. And yeah. But if you go back to the first half, it did feel like there for a minute Duke was going to run away with it. Slim had a great game, especially early. He was awesome. So he was kind of taking over. They were going on this little run, and then Cam Boozer gets the flagrant. And then things kind of come to a halt, and then TCU, great ending to the half after that. In the most important 8 minutes of basketball are those middle 8, the final 4 of the first half and the first 4 of the second half. But it was just not enough because of, some calls. But also Duke they did the one thing that they didn't do in the first half. They fed Cam Boozer. 17 second half points for Cam Boozer. He was awesome. He had one shot taken in the first half, and they go to the break, and Seth Davis had a quote that I don't think will ever leave my mind. So they were kind of making the point that they need to feed him, get him the ball. Like, he's one of the best players in the country. He's going to win the Wooden Award. Get the man the ball. And Seth Davis hits us with, feed the big dog until he burps. He said that, and I said, that will never leave my mind. I will forever think that when you have a star player that needs to get more touches. And they fed the big dog. I don't think he ended up burping, but he played a heck of a ball game. 19 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 1 block. This guy right here, man. And he's had those moments. He had a little bit of the first half. He had definitely some down the stretch in the second half of the Siena game where it's like, all right, well, this isn't the Cam that we've seen all year. When these teams have this like physicality and they bring all this crazy pressure like TCU did, he's getting rattled. Now, you say, who's he going to play next? There's a chance he plays Rick Pitino's St. John's Johnnies in the Red Storm, who physicality is their middle name. Like, they are going to absolutely run and jump and do all of this crazy stuff. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. But they pulled away, so I needed to highlight that. Like, 81-58, that's dominance. 23 points. Being able to pull away in this one was very impressive. But TCU made one heck of a push. Like, they were on the ropes there for a long time, and you battled. And it was really Xavier Edmonds, Micah Robinson. Those two dudes were exceptional throughout this game. They had their own runs that they'd have. They'd hit tough shots, and they were awesome. That duo right there did a lot of good things. But Duke comes out on top and gets out of there, and they fed the big dog until he burped. So good stuff there. Houston versus Texas A&M. This one was fun at the start, and then I don't have a belt near me. I would snap the belt if I had a belt in reaching distance. Belt. Yeah. A&M came out firing. Bucky Ball was in full effect. Houston kind of weathered the storm, and 88-57. That was the final in this one. And yeah, this was something for sure. Milos Uzan, the takeaway for me is just him in general. Just like when you get a good Milos Uzan, I don't see a world where Houston's not winning the ball game. Like, if I guess there could be a point, I don't know, I haven't done my research to look back on like every single time he's had a good game, but I would imagine most times when he has a good game, it feels like they always win. So yeah, he didn't play great against Arizona. They lost that. Didn't play great against Kansas, Arizona the first time. They lost those. 11 was fine at Iowa State, but they lost. 6 points the Texas Tech game. They lost that. Tennessee, he had a good game, and they lost. But if you look through some of his best games, Syracuse, which that was a tough overtime win. That was a ton of fun. That feels like 12 years ago. Cincinnati, West Virginia, Arizona State, Colorado. And then here late, it's been like Baylor, Oklahoma State, and then this one, he played pretty well. The first 2 rounds, he had 12 in the first one against Idaho, and then 15 in this one. Love to see Milos and senior leaders be able to have great games like this and kind of take over. But Chris Sinek, 17-9, he did a lot of good things throughout. Emmanuel Sharp got it going early, and then he kind of cooled off a little bit, but he had 18, and yeah, they were cruising. Mercy Miller had 12 off the bench. They rolled on. But Texas A&M, as much as they get clowned for posting, 4th in the SEC? Really good year out of Buckyball. Really good year. 22-12, you get to the second round. Obviously, you weren't super close to beating Houston, but it's Houston. Like, what are you supposed to do? If that's where you're judging these guys, then I don't know who even does good at that point. But Texas A&M did a really good job in Buckyball. He has some really, really big truthers. I was a little hesitant that like the same exact style from Sanford would work. Now I think he's going to get more talented players. Now I don't know how it's ever going to work when they play this many guys. There's not going to be a ton of dudes that want to buy into that and play this amount of minutes and all this different stuff. But like the most that somebody played was Ryland Griffin with 27. It's just they play so many different dudes. They run and make things crazy. I don't know how many guys will want to play in that, but the more that you prove you can win, people like to win. Breaking news. If you win, people will go there and people will play. And the more talent you get, the more, you're going to make crazy runs. The more you're going to win, the more you're going to do all this. Like, with that type of depth, there's teams that can't match that. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see what the future of A&M basketball looks like, because I was a doubter, like I said. But I think I got proved wrong this year because they did a really good job. Kingston Flemings did. He had, I think it was Kelvin Sampson said that, I think what he said was a freshman moment, or what a freshman thing to do or something. Because Kingston Flemings was looking at the little name tag of the players where it said Kingston Flemings across it, and he was like, can we take these? And then they were like, well, not yet, or whatever. But he ended up getting it. So if you were curious about that, an awesome little moment for Kingston. But Houston has now reached the Sweet 16 or further in 7 consecutive tournaments. Sweet 16 this year and still playing. Runner-up last year, Sweet 16 the year before, Sweet 16 the year before that, Elite 8 before that, Final Four before that, Sweet 16 in 2019. All the way back to that point, they have built a absolute consistent powerhouse down there in Houston. And Kelvin Sampson is one of the premier coaches in the land, and I really, 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 really want to see him win a championship at some point. We will see if that could be this year. Gonzaga versus Texas. This one was maybe game of the day for a little bit until other games happened. Texas moves on. The 11 seed Longhorns win 74-68. What a game. Modest Vokatitis, 17-9. Jordan Pope, 17, and a big one late. Graham Ike did a lot of good things, but he also was taken out of this game in different fashions because of how Texas would play him. They would get the ball out of his hands. They'd keep him off the glass. They would do all these different things to make sure he could not get a full feel for it. Like he was scoring, he was doing his thing. But they made everything extremely difficult on him. And that's the takeaway from this one. Dalen Swain might be, I put this down, the most underappreciated player, most underappreciated star in college basketball. Dalen Swain is awesome. He ended up with 11 points in this one, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. This dude is an absolute stud. 17.6 points per game, 7.5 rebounds per game, 3.5 assists per game. 54% field goal percentage. Absolute star. And I know he came over with Sean. Not saying I hope this happens, but I'm curious if he hits the portal, what type of money he would be offered. Because that's where sadly, that's where the college basketball world has headed, to where you're like, all right, well, how valuable are they? If he returns, Texas is going to be a darling next year to be able to pick early. Cam Heide hadn't scored all game until that clutch bucket there to give Texas, I think that was the lead, maybe the dagger. I don't remember what it was. It was a huge shot. I think it was a dagger like shot, because I think they were up like 2 or 3 or something. Okay, so it was 69-68. Cam Heide makes the jumper from the corner, which was also going to be a Tremont Mark isolation play, get him in a spot where he could score it. Then he ends up making the smart decision to be able to kick that. Cam Heide hits the 3 and does exactly what is needed. Tremont Mark assist in that situation. So the guy that had made all the shots towards the end, then he's the one on the opposite side of things, where he's delivering the assist there late. So not his best game, but I think his best game is still coming, maybe, because he's shown a lot of signs to be able to close these games out and play really good basketball when it matters. From the play-in to the Sweet 16, now it's Sean Miller's 9th Sweet 16. He's done an incredible job out there. John Rothstein put out 10 days ago, Texas lost to Ole Miss and found itself on the bubble with an 18-14 record. It won 3 games in 5 days to advance to the Sweet 16. Anarchy? Nope, just college basketball. And as a Kentucky fan, seeing this Texas team, we beat them right before I think their best came along. Like they were scary when we played them. That was also the last game that we played not fully healthy. It was the last game with Cam before he came back. But they were scary. It was kind of like, all right, these guys like Vokatitis can go. These guys are really good. And that continued. And then Todd Golden backed me up on that point. He heard me say it. He heard me talk about how good this Texas team was, and he backed me up. He said, in February, they are not a team I want to see in March. Now they are in the Sweet 16. So the defending national title winning coach has some high praise for him, and so do I. Those are the two that really matter. John Fanta put out the 6 teams to go from the first 4 of the NCAA tournament to the Sweet 16. 2011, VCU. 2013, LaSalle. 2014, Tennessee. 2018, Syracuse. 2021, UCLA. And now the Texas Longhorns in 2026. They have done it, and they move on. Now, I did see, on the other side of things, the funniest and, like, not the best, the biggest rage bait trigger thing, whatever they were trying to do, ever. I think it was like a FanDuel page or something put out, should Gonzaga move on? This dude, Mark Few, this guy, Mark Few, I'm going to get the exact numbers up for you. He has done nothing but succeed there. And now I know I'm falling into what they wanted to bait me into. People say Gonzaga chokes in March. This is a really good Texas team. And I think it was Bruce Pearl, maybe Jalen Rose, I can't remember who it was in the postgame, was talking about this team, and they said, this team, like, yes, when you look at these rosters, Texas matches up very, very well when you're talking talent-wise. Like, Inocente or whatever, I can never remember how his name is pronounced, but they say it all the time, and I don't know why I can't get it. But if you compare him to Cam Heide, whatever, Gonzaga probably wins that battle. But Graham Ike, Modest Vokatitis, that feels like a wash at this point. I know Graham Ike's had one heck of a career, but like at this point, Modest Vokatitis is playing some really good ball. Then you go Mario St. Supri, Jordan Pope. That feels like a wash. Maybe I'd give the edge just because I like Jordan Pope so much. Then you go to Worley, and then you've got Dalen Swain. Dalen Swain wins that battle. Adam Miller, then Tremont Mark, and then you go Tremont Mark there. Nick Cody, 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists off the bench with a block and a steal. Versus Tyron Grant Foster. You probably go Nick Cody when you're talking about these instances. Like, they can match up band for band, bar for bar with Gonzaga. It's crazy. It's crazy to think that. But Gonzaga, in this instance, gets labeled as the choke artist, and they can't ever do anything good in March. They have been, in a long time, this is back to 2017. They were a 3 seed. Okay, I'll just go by where they get to. Round of 32, Sweet 16, Elite 8, Sweet 16, runner-up. No tournament, Elite 8, Sweet 16, Final Four. 2 Final Fours, one of them being a runner-up in a undefeated season. They do not choke. He has done one heck of a job, and I will say, it feels like they're on the decline because of the recruiting. Mark Few's a little bit older. I'm not saying he's going to retire. It just feels like maybe Gonzaga is on the decline a little bit. Just a smidge. Just a little bit. But, they'll get some of these dudes back. They're not getting Graham Ike back. He's gone. Tyler Grant Foster's gone. They just didn't have enough this year. And we'll see what it looks like in the portal and beyond. So I'm excited to see what Gonzaga can do next year, the post-Graham Ike era. But Texas is victorious tonight, winning 74-68 in a classic. Illinois versus VCU. This one was fun for a little bit till it wasn't. 35-28 at halftime. And then kind of built in the second half. The score doesn't even indicate how over it felt at times. But VCU, what a run. Being able to have that miraculous victory over North Carolina will always be in my brain, and I will always remember that. But yeah, the unfortunate news of not having Nick Lewis go long tonight is brutal. Right ankle injury. Yeah, that sucks really bad. But Terrence Hill stepped up off the bench again, 17-7. He was awesome. They just didn't have enough tonight. This is a Illini team that is unstoppable at times. Like when they are going, and you can't do a thing about it. Andrej Stojakovic, 21 points, 16 of them being in the first half. Keaton Wagler had 1 point at half. And then, flashback to the Duke talk at the beginning of this, they didn't defeat him, but just saying because of the quote, they fed the big dog until he burped with Keaton Wagler. 1 point at half, finished with 14 in this one, and he got it going. Big Z, Zvonimir Ivisic, 17 minutes, only 2 points, but the 2 points are the most emphatic points that you can have. He shows his rim protection on one end, blocking the shot, and then he goes down and dunks and ends a man's career, it felt like. That was awesome. Shout out to Big Z. That was a ton of fun to watch, and yeah, that was awesome. But 76-55, and like I said, going into the tournament, I said that little pod right there feels like the easiest Sweet 16 to predict, and it's now happened. Illinois and Houston, it didn't feel like they were going to have a whole lot of sweating being done to that point. But now, matchup with Houston in Houston, and Bill Raftery said on the broadcast, bring your prayer book. That's one heck of a way to put it, Bill. That's the GOAT right there, Bill Raftery, and I kind of side with him because that's a scary sight. Houston in Houston, a little bit tough. Next game. Actually, I'm going to save this one for last. I said I'm going all complete chronological order, but I will do this one last because this one was cinema, to say the least. High Point versus Arkansas. This game was a ton of fun. Arkansas survives, and John Calipari doesn't have to think of another Jack Golke because Chase Johnston could not get his last couple to go, even though he did his best. And I don't hate those shots at all. I know people were like, dude, why is he just pulling that up, whatever. I don't hate those at all. That corner one was literally everything but the bottom of the net. And then the other one looked great, and it didn't end up falling. But then I don't understand. Now, Coach Klayman is far better than me when it comes to knowledge of basketball. But I don't understand what the play is there at the end. Like, well, not at the end. It's a minute 30 left. You're down 4. And I think it was Terry Anderson that got it. Maybe Scotty Washington. I can't remember. I think it was Terry Anderson. They just gave him the ball and just cleared out, basically. They just said, all right, let's just run an ISO and just go through Billy Richmond's chest. And Malik Ewan, by the way, he's just chilling in the paint. I don't understand. Don't understand that, but man, what a ball game though. 94-88, a ton of fun. The pace of the game was crazy. It was awesome. Terry Anderson, 15 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. He was still awesome in this one. But Rob Martin is the star, and he is so much fun to watch. And I hate to be the dude that continues to. Actually, he's a senior. I was about to say. I was thinking he was. Wait, he redshirt? I don't know. The eligibility, man, it's better off solving like world hunger. Rob Martin's so much fun. So much fun. The entire game, he was awesome. 30 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. He was just a blast to watch. He's so fast. He can hit shots. And his one fault is that he's a little bit small, and that's why Malik Ewan blocked that last one. 5'10", guard. Yeah. What a run. I mean, I didn't know about him. I'll be completely honest. I didn't know about High Point. I didn't know about Rob Martin. Didn't know about all these guys. But he was a ton of fun to watch. And for High Point, I will say before I jump out of here, talking about them, they had won, would they say 23 of the last 24? I think it was. Their one loss was Winthrop, and so yeah, they were as hot gets. They, like they said on the broadcast, they had forgot how to lose, and they sadly dropped one tonight. And I mean, America, I think, was rooting for High Point, not only because it's the underdog and nobody wants to root for these higher seeds, but also because it was the only really Cinderella remaining. Already VCU had lost, so they were legit the only Cinderella left. Who knows? How far Arkansas can go, but High Point sadly goes down. I had Wisconsin and Arkansas, and I had Wisconsin winning, so hand up on that one. On the other side of things, the length of Arkansas absolutely disrupted everything that High Point wanted to do from start to finish. That was the story in this one. They could never. It felt like on one end, the length and athleticism of Arkansas would go get wide open layups, and then on the other end, the length and athleticism of Arkansas would not allow a single shot around the rim. Rob Martin found his way through that. So did Cam Fletcher. I want to say something about Cam Fletcher real quick. Cam Fletcher came to UK out of St. Louis, Missouri in the 2020 class. Was playing the 2020-2021 season. Gets, I guess, released from the team. I don't really know what even happened. I don't know all that drama. But he goes on, ends up playing his former coach, and I would say... Nah, I can't. I don't know. I wouldn't say proves him wrong. But 25 points, 11 for 19 from the field, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. Star. What a game. What a way to end your career. And doing it against your former coach. So you obviously want to get the win there and get the last laugh. But sadly, they came up short. Chase Johnson did finish with 9 points. But obviously, you kind of wish you could have 15 so that you could see these moments where, because I think they were down 2 maybe when one of those shots were taken. I don't know. But Rob Martin, Cameron Fletcher, and all these dudes, what a game. And you made it a lot of fun. Rob Martin versus Darius Acuff was a ton of fun, but Darius Acuff, I would say, got the last laugh. He added a couple free throws late, but had 36 points and 6 assists in this one, and he just did whatever he wanted to, whenever he wanted to, and he took over the game late with back-to-back finishes to get them up 4. And then hits the dagger to put him up 7, I think it was. Maybe 5, I can't remember. But played 34 minutes, played dang near the whole game. Malik Ewan with Nick Pringle out did have to play basically the whole game. Played 36 minutes. But, yeah, he played a great game. 4 blocks, 14 and 12 for him. If they can get that version, they're not necessarily hurting for Nick Pringle to hurry back. Billy Richmond, 15 and 10. The absolute spark plug, the Energizer Bunny, all that. Malik Thomas, 19 points, and he got it going. I mean, it felt like just start to finish. He was a ton of fun. And that backcourt, like I've said, it doesn't matter what these other dudes do. The key to me is Malik Thomas has to ball. He has to ball out. Darius Acuff wakes up and has 30, it feels like at this point. Malik Thomas is going to have to show up, and he has so far to this point. You got to hope that he can continue it against, presumably Arizona State. And they play Utah State tomorrow. We will see how that one goes. But, yeah. I mean, playing the 7 guys, it may wear them down. But when you have Darius Acuff, anything is possible. He completely took over this game late and did his thing. And but, yeah, the length and athleticism just was the difference. But High Point, credit to them. They fought and fought and fought and fought. Just couldn't get enough shots to fall there towards the end. And that's kind of the story of it. Vanderbilt, Nebraska. Whew. The game of the day. If you scratch my brain, just give me the memories of how the game ended and everything, I would have said this game ended 142 to 140. It ended 74 to 72, but this game, holy crap, this game was awesome. Nebraska gets the win 74 to 72 over Vanderbilt. And what a game. What a freaking game. I don't even know where to begin. I guess I'll start with how the game started. Tyler Tanner was really the only guy that realized the ball was tipped, I guess. Like, he at one of the breaks, it was like he had 10 points. The team had 12 or something. And then it was like they had 18, and I was counting in my head, and I was like, he scored or assisted on every point but one. He was unbelievable. From start to finish, he stole cookies a couple times, got some layups, got a breakaway dunk. Ton of fun. And it was a Nebraska home game. So being able to do that and kind of silence the crowd at those moments was awesome. And when I say Nebraska home game, I don't mean it lightly. There was all the talk about Missouri getting a home game playing in St. Louis. It wouldn't hold a candle. You give me that Missouri St. Louis game. I mean, I watched the Missouri Miami game last night. That wouldn't hold a candle what Nebraska was doing in this one. This literally felt like Pinnacle Bake. They talked to Rink Mast about it. I think it was at halftime. And he was talking about, like, this is crazy. Sam Hoiberg talked about it after the game. He was like, all this support is wild. In the first game, it was like 85% Nebraska fans versus Troy. But now you get a good team, Vanderbilt. Now it's not the biggest fan base in the world. It's basically just Nashville. But you wouldn't be able to tell that they even had a fan base at all. Like, I don't know if it was just family and friends exclusive there because Nebraska bought the rest of the tickets, but I don't know, man. I'm not from the Midwest, but apparently people in the Midwest see however long it is from Lincoln to Oklahoma City, and they see that, and they're like, why don't we just start the bike ride that way? They act like it ain't nothing because they all made the trip. But Tyler Tanner was incredible. This game ended up getting super physical for two teams that can get out and run and score it well. Ended up getting super physical. Guys on the floor, nosebleed everywhere. This was awesome. The ending was as good as it gets, and I'll talk about individual players here in a second. The ending being Tyler Tanner, Sam Hoiberg, a miss on one end, and then Braden Frager is as good as it gets. Storybook ending. Sam Hoiberg, coach's son. Braden Frager, the kid that grew up in the shadows of Nebraska in Lincoln, making the big play late and scoring there. And then Tyler Tanner, obviously a guy that's got his draft stock going up all year. Maybe the most underrated guard in the country. Does never get enough love. He has never received enough love that he deserves. What a game from him. And sadly, he missed some free throws down the stretch where you were like, oh, this might be huge. They ended up being huge. But he was awesome. 27 points, 4 assists, 4 steals. He was just all over the place all night. A.K. Okereke made some huge plays late, and they talked about him on the broadcast, and I had no idea this happened. And I've watched a ton of Vandy this year. I don't know how I didn't hear this. A.K. Okereke, I think, was a manager for Cornell and then tried to walk on, ended up getting a scholarship, and then now he's at Vanderbilt and getting this team to where they're almost playing in a Sweet 16. It's crazy. Tyler Nickel, it took him a while to get going, 16 points, 5 rebounds. He ended up figuring it out. Goes 5 for 12 from 3, but it wasn't enough. Duke Miles, not his best game. We'll just put it that way. Maybe one of his worst at Vandy, which is sad because he's a ton of fun. And when he's going with Tyler Tanner, that duo is maybe second to none in the country when you're talking about backcourt duos because they're just a ton of fun when they're both rolling. But on the other side, Braden Frager, 15 and 5 off the bench with the clutchest bucket to give them the win, 74-72. Which also, I need to mention, I guess, Tyler Tanner, the over half-court heave that was literally everything but the bottom of the net. It hit the backboard perfectly. It looked like it was halfway down the rim and then popped out. It literally just defied gravity, not going in. I don't know how it happened, but it didn't go in, and they avoid one of the craziest moments of all time, which would have... I can't even imagine the other world where that happens. Like where that ball goes in the goal. I don't know how in the world. It's crazy. It would be a wild world. But Butte and Shell, good game, 12 and 4. Price Sanford, 15 and 5. Hit some really big threes at different points in this game. He was awesome. Rink Mass, 13, 5 and 4. He was awesome. Jamarcus Lawrence, not his best game, I would say. He left more to be desired, but he had 9. And then Sam Hoiberg with 8, 4 and 6. But 2 of those 8 were on that putback after Rink Mass missed the 3, and he gets the big putback as the smallest dude on the floor, like they said on the broadcast. First, they hadn't won a game, and now they're in the Sweet 16. So everything is the first time in school history. This is the second win in school history, but now it's the first Sweet 16 berth that they've ever had. And now they will probably face, presumably, the Florida Gators. They will be playing the Iowa Hawkeyes tomorrow, so we will see how that one goes. I don't want to write these teams off, and now maybe I'm bulletin board material if they ever see this. So, yeah. I mean, you're in this situation, and who knows? Nebraska's fought with some really, really good teams all year, and they could definitely do it with Florida. But both these teams being able to match up in this spot is awesome because they were 2 of the stories at the beginning of the year. They were 2 undefeated teams that were going way longer than I think people expected. And being able to match up and give us this game in this moment, what a time. What a time. This was the one. When I looked at the bracket, I said Wisconsin-Arkansas second round is going to be the best matchup of the entire tournament. or at least of the early rounds or whatever. I don't remember exactly what I said. But then I looked at it and I said, Vandy, Nebraska feels like that 1,000% is going to happen, which McNeese fought with Vandy. But then I circled it and I said, that game right there is going to be a ton of fun. And I underestimated it. This game was awesome. Happy birthday to Sam Hoiberg. It is now not his birthday here on the East Coast, 12:33 now. But it was his birthday. He said, best birthday yet. Love doing it for all these fans and all this different stuff. And seeing a fan base that coming into the year didn't even have a tournament win and getting to celebrate 2 wins and getting to play for another week with this crew is a lot of fun. And yeah, very exciting. What a day. Ton of fun games tomorrow. A lot of these matchups are going to be fun to watch in the Sweet 16, no matter what the outcome of some of tomorrow's games are. Kentucky versus Iowa State. We'll start it off at 2:45 on CBS, and that one I think will now officially be without Joshua Jefferson, but I don't think that really matters. I think Iowa State's probably going to win, just being honest. I'll probably talk myself into a Cats win by the time it tips off, though. But Iowa State, I think they will be without Joshua Jefferson. I would be very, very surprised based on reports that if he plays. Miami and Purdue, that one's going to be a lot of fun. St. John's, Kansas, I can't wait. For the second year in a row, they try to get this Bill Self and Rick Pitino matchup, and they finally get it done. That one's going to be awesome. Tennessee and Virginia, this one's literally a coin flip to me. I don't know who's going to win. I took Virginia, but who knows? The way that Tennessee played against Miami, Ohio, I think they could probably beat anybody in this bracket. Iowa, Florida, like I mentioned, that one's going to be fun. I feel like Florida's going to get away with that one. Arizona versus Utah State, I feel like Arizona might roll in that one, but those are both still one-game scenarios, and you can't tell me those teams can't win 1 out of 100 times or 1 out of 50 times. They can win multiple times out of 50 times. Maybe that's one of those situations. UCLA and UConn. This game is going to be a ton of fun. I can't wait for this. Are you raising your voice at me versus 2 rings, Baldy? I can't wait for it. That one's going to be awesome. Like Mick Cronin, even today on the off day, had the incredible quotes of, like, come on, man, this ain't Little League, whatever. And that whole interaction with the reporter was incredible. Texas Tech and Alabama, that one is going to be a ton of fun as well. A lot of points being scored in that one. A lot of good guard play. Christian Anderson, LeBaron Fallon, must-see TV. Got 3 words for you. Those 2 names, yeah, y'all know the drill. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch all these games tomorrow. Sunday is going to be an absolutely incredible day. Similar slate-wise, like it's 2:45. Or no, that doesn't. No, CBS, I'm tripping. I thought Kentucky started today. They do not. They are the second game. Miami, Purdue, 12:10. Kentucky, Iowa State, following that. Then St. John's, Kansas. Those are all kind of standalone. But then at the end, or in the second half of St. John's, Kansas, you will get Tennessee, Virginia. And then an hour later, Iowa, Florida. And then less than an hour later, Utah State and Arizona. And then less than an hour later, UCLA, UConn, you know the drill, Alabama and Texas Tech an hour after that. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait for tomorrow's games. We will have a official Sweet 16 set round, all this different stuff at this time tomorrow night. I'm nervous as heck as a Kentucky fan. Don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be a ton of fun. Can't wait for it. Glad you're here. Glad you tuned in. Hope you had an incredible day. Hope you enjoyed all the hoops. Glad I could chat with you about all these games. Leave some comments if you think I'm completely wrong and an idiot on certain topics, or if you agree with me on certain topics. Let me know in the comments. I will always love to comment back with you all. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. I will be around for all of March, a little bit into April, covering all these college basketball games. I'll probably also do a little bit of like a portal thing after that, so definitely stay tuned and subscribe. I really appreciate any support, social media pages, all of that on here, whatever it may be. I'll be back tomorrow. Peace.